Now, prior to coming to Murfreesboro, did you know if you was going to have a roommate at Raiders Crossing?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And who did you think that was going to be?
Kiana Richardson.
All right. And where'd you get that information?
The apartment complex sent me her name and her phone number as well as her address of where she stayed.
Okay. And did you attempt to make contact with Miss Richardson?
I did, but I never got any call or she never answered.
Why were you trying to make contact with her?
It was my first time away from home, so I just wanted to know who I was rooming with and how was that person.
Okay. Now, when you, before you showed up at Raiders Crossing, did you know who your roommate was going to be?
At that time, I thought it would be Kiana Richardson.
Even though you had not been able to get a hold of her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, once you got to Raiders Crossing, did you learn that Miss Stewart was in fact your roommate?
Yes, sir, I did.
And tell us how that came about.
I was sitting in my room. My parents had just left. I was going over the syllabus for the classes I had attended that day and getting my things together for the next day. And Tina walked through the door, and she was like, hey, I see you just moved in. And we had little conversations.
Okay. And did the two of you have a conversation? At some point, was it discovered that both of you girls were from Memphis?
Yes, sir, later that day.
Okay, and tell me how that came about.
We were sitting in the kitchen, and we were cooking at the same time, and I just asked her, I was like, are you from Memphis? And she was like, yeah. I said, that's where I recognize you from. You attended Central, you played ball. And she was like, yeah, I did.
Okay. And how did you and Miss Stewart get along right then?
We got along well.
Did you have any input on who your roommate was?
Besides doing the profile, a little updated profile about who you want to be in the room with.
Okay. Now, did you and Miss Stewart ever have any conversations about the food in the apartment?
No, sir, we
didn't. Did one of you girls write your initials on food if it was yours?
Tina did.
Okay. Did y'all ever talk about that?
No, sir.
Was there ever a conversation about whose silverware or glasses or plates?
No, sir.
Was there ever a problem about eating each other's food?
No, sir.
Now, when you say you remembered Miss Stewart from high school, were you and she in the same grade?
No, sir. She was 2 years ahead of me.
Okay. Did you play any sports in high school?
No, sir, I didn't.
Have you ever lifted any weights?
No, sir, I didn't.
What about going jogging?
No, sir, I didn't.
Yoga?
No, sir.
Do you exercise at all?
No, sir.
You ever done anything to stay in shape?
No, sir.
How tall are you, Miss Madden?
4'11".
Now, is that your actual height?
Yes, sir.
How much you weigh?
174.
And as far as on March 2nd, how tall were you then?
4'11".
And how much did you weigh then?
174.
Now, how many bedrooms were in the apartment that you and Miss Stewart shared?
2.
How many bathrooms?
2.
Did y'all have bathrooms in your bedroom?
Tina had a bathroom in her bedroom.
Okay. Now, and maybe I wasn't clear on this, when you first, I'll draw that question, where was your bathroom?
My bathroom was across the hall from my bedroom.
When you first got there, you told us that was sometime in August, right, of
Yes, sir.
2010?
Yes, sir.
And you said when you went in that nobody was there?
No, sir. No one was there.
Did you know which bedroom you were going to be in when you first went in the apartment?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And was Miss Stewart already residing there when you went in?
She was.
Okay. And she was already in the room that had a bathroom?
Yes, sir.
So how would you get to your bathroom?
I would have to walk from my bedroom to my bathroom.
Through the hallway?
Yes, sir.
Now, in August of 2010, would that have been the beginning of the fall semester?
Yes, sir, I would.
Okay. And do you remember what classes you were taking then?
I was taking anthropology, English, university seminar, psychology, and I think that was about it.
Okay, do you remember how many hours you were taking?
About 15.
All right. Did you enjoy school?
Yes, sir, I did.
What'd you like about it?
Being that I knew I wanted to be successful, I knew school had to be my main focus, and I love doing work, I love keeping busy, and school was one of the reasons I did that.
Did you like being away from home?
No, sir, I didn't.
Now, you testified a minute ago that this was the first time you'd been away from home. As a little girl, did you spend the night away from home much?
No, sir.
Tell me about the relationship between yourself and Miss Stewart during that early first semester at MTSU.
We got along, we talked, we laughed. It was a good relationship.
Okay, did y'all ever go in each other's rooms?
Yes, sir, we did.
Tell me about that.
If we were into a deep conversation or we just wanted to talk, we'll sit in each other's room and talk about things.
Okay, did she come in your room?
Yes, sir, she would.
Would you go in her room?
Yes, sir, I would.
Was there ever any kind of issues between you and Miss Stewart in the early portion of the fall semester at MTSU?
No, sir.
Now, if we're on a timeline and we're kind of progressing, October, November, right before Thanksgiving, how are things going between yourself and Miss Stewart?
It's still going good.
Okay. And I suppose that y'all got a Thanksgiving break?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what you did?
I went back home to see my family.
Okay. And then, do you come back to school after Thanksgiving break in
Yes, sir.
college? And school goes on for a period of time?
Yes, sir.
And then there would be a Christmas break. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And what'd you do for the Christmas break?
I went back home to see my family.
Now, did Miss Stewart have a boyfriend?
Yes, sir.
And had you met him?
Yes, sir.
And what was his name?
KC.
Okay. And did you get along with KC okay, still during this fall semester at MTSU?
Yeah, but it was okay. It was good.
Did you talk to him much?
Not really. We just said hey, and I answered the door when you come in.
Okay. Did Mr. Anuna have a key to the apartment?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you ever know Mr. Anuna to come in the apartment that Miss Stewart was not with him?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever know him to come in the apartment when you know the door was locked?
Yes, sir.
Now, I think you just said that you came home at Christmas break. Is that
Yes,
right? Now, the testimony has been that school started back on January the 12th or 13th.
Yes, sir.
Is that when you would have come back to MTSU?
The day before probably class started.
Okay. Were you excited about that?
To get back to class and get back to school, and yes, I was.
Okay. Now, how was it with Miss Stewart right then?
It was still going good. We were still talking, laughing, up until a certain point.
And at some point, was there tension that developed between yourself and Miss Stewart?
Yes, sir, it was.
And can you tell us when that was?
About the middle of January.
Okay. Do you remember a specific day?
About the 17th of January.
Okay. And what was it that caused that all to change?
I had expressed concern with my mom about Casey being there every day, and I called her that day, and she wanted to call the office, and I kept telling her don't call it because I wanted to handle it myself. I didn't want problems with Tina, and I later found out that she did call the office that day.
Okay, now, what is it that you told your mama that caused her concern?
I told her it was uncomfortable with Casey being there every day.
Okay. And was there something in particular that had made you uncomfortable?
Yes, sir, it was.
Tell us that.
I had took a bath, and I had a towel wrapped around me, and I was coming out of the bathroom, and KC was coming in the doorway. And he scared me because I didn't know it was him there, but he wasn't with Tina, so that's why it really scared me. And I didn't want her to think I was after her boyfriend or anything like that.
Okay. Now, was that the only time Mr. Anuna came in when Miss Stewart was not with him?
No, sir.
Okay. Was there another occasion that you remember in particular?
Yes, sir.
Tell us that.
It was a day it was raining real hard outside, and Casey and Tina had left earlier that day, and when they came back, it was just him that day, and he came back. And I was coming out of my room to go into the kitchen, and I happened to not have any I had some shorts and no bra, and I felt uncomfortable with it, and he seen that I was uncomfortable and apologized.
Okay. Was he nice when he apologized?
Yes, sir.
And are those two occasions what you communicated to your mama?
Yes, sir.
Now, you said that your mama called the office.
Yes, sir, she did.
Are you sure you're not the one that called the office?
I called the office after my mama told me that the office needed to speak to me.
Okay. And tell me what happened with that.
When I got to class, my first class, I called her, and because she had sent me a text message, and she told me to call her, so I called her back, and she said that she had called the office, and even though I told her I didn't want her to, and she said they said call them back when I got out of class. So I called them back that same day, and I spoke to Miss Jessica, and she told me to come up there after I got done with class.
Okay, and did you do that?
Yes, sir, I did.
And how'd you get there?
Carlisha drove me.
And did you go in the office?
Yes, sir, I did.
Tell us what happened.
When I walked into the office, Miss Jessica was attending to other resident people that were there, and she told me that she did talk to, that she had called Tina, but that she couldn't get on the phone, so she left a voicemail.
Okay. And what'd you do next?
I asked her, could we just have a group meeting instead of me talking to Tina by myself, because I didn't want any problems with her while I was alone with her.
Okay. And what happened next?
She advised me that she would try to call Tina back and see could she reach her, and that she would call me if she did, and she told me to try to talk it out with her while I was there.
And do you know whether problems between roommates was common or uncommon at that facility?
Yes, sir. She did tell me about problems with her own roommates.
Okay. Talking about the lady in the office?
Yes, sir.
And so what'd you do as a result of that?
I told her I'd try to talk to Tina, and I'd call her back after we did talk, and I talked to Tina the following day.
Okay. The next day?
No, the same day.
The same day. Is when did you, maybe I didn't hear you right. When, after you'd been in the office on a particular day, when did you talk to Miss Stewart?
The same day.
The same day. Okay. And tell us, how did you come into contact? When's the first time you saw Miss Stewart after you had left the office?
After I went back to my next class, Carlisha brought me back to the apartment, and when I was coming into the apartment, Tina was going out of the apartment.
Okay. And was there anything different going on inside the apartment?
Yes, sir. When she left, she normally would turn everything off that she had on, but that particular day, she had her music blaring very loud.
Okay. And was that the first time you'd ever observed that?
Yes, sir.
Was it the last time that the music was left loud?
No, sir.
Now, who was with Miss Stewart when she left?
No one. She was by herself at the time.
Okay. When she returned, was anybody with her?
Yes, sir. Casey was with her.
Okay. And tell us what happened.
I asked Tina because I talked to her when she came in the door. Casey went in her room and turned the music down because she asked him to, and me and Tina stood in the hallway and we talked.
Okay, and tell us about that conversation.
I told her that I didn't want it to seem like she couldn't have company because it was her place, but at the same time I felt uncomfortable with him being there every single day. And she told me that they would go back to splitting it up. Some days she'll be with him, some days he'll be with her.
Okay, and how'd all that make you feel?
It made me feel good because she understood that I felt uncomfortable with the situation.
Okay. Now, what about the next day? What happened?
The next day, Casey did not stay. He didn't stay that day or the day after that, but that Monday, it went back to the same routine, and I decided to not stay in the apartment.
Okay, and where did you start staying?
I started staying with Carlisha at Corlew.
And why?
Because I felt uncomfortable with the situation.
Okay. Would you still return to the apartment?
Yes, sir. Occasionally I would.
Okay, and for what?
To get food and clothes to bring back to Corlew or just stay the night for 1 or 2 nights.
Okay. And you said a moment ago that was the first time the music had been left playing loud, but not the last time. What are you saying there?
I could be studying, the music would be extremely loud, or they would be extremely loud talking, laughing, giggling, or I could be trying to watch TV or sleep.
Okay. And had that ever happened prior to the day that you communicated with the office?
No, sir, it hadn't.
And did you have subsequent conversation with the office after you talked with Ms. Stewart?
After I called Ms. Jessica back that Monday or Tuesday, I hadn't talked to her after that.
Okay. So we're somewhere in mid to late January 2011 at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you estimate how often during the course of any given week you would return to the apartment?
2 or 3 times out of the week, probably.
Okay. And you were staying where during the other time?
With Carlisha at Corley.
And did your relationship with Miss Stewart change
It
at
did
that point?
change.
In addition to the music, how would it be between the two of you when you would see her?
I'd speak and she wouldn't speak, or she'd just look at me and wouldn't say anything.
Now, while you were staying with Carlisha, did you meet the lady that you referred to as Nene, also known as Renee Reese?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, and how'd you meet Miss Reese?
I had met Renee sometime around the fall semester, but I wasn't that close with her.
Okay. Well, did you become better friends or start hanging out more after?
More the spring semester we did.
All right. Now, there's an allegation that marijuana was smoked in the apartment on March the 2nd, 2011.
Yes, sir.
Was marijuana smoked in the apartment on that day?
Yes, sir.
And is that the first time marijuana had ever been smoked in the apartment?
No, sir.
Tell me about any other time that marijuana had been smoked in the apartment.
I had a friend over probably the middle of February, and we were smoking in the apartment.
Okay. And did you and Miss Stewart have a conversation regarding that?
No, sir.
Did she say anything at all?
Not about the marijuana, she didn't.
Okay. Well, tell the jury about that.
I guess she realized that it was a problem or something, but she didn't say anything about the marijuana. But when I came out of my room, the only thing Tina addressed it was if a coach or someone came ask for her, she wasn't there. That's the only conversation we had that day.
Okay. Did she give you a look that indicated she didn't approve of marijuana?
No, sir.
Okay. And are you sure about that, Miss Madden?
Yes, sir, I am.
Was that the only other occasion marijuana had been smoked in the apartment?
Besides the day with Renee, that's the only occasion.
Okay. Now, did you ever smoke marijuana in high school?
No, sir, I didn't.
And have you smoked any marijuana since March the 2nd, 2011?
No, sir, I haven't.
Did you drink alcohol?
No, sir.
Was there alcohol in the apartment?
No, sir.
Now, this leads us up into March the 2nd, 2011.
Yes, sir.
Where had you spent the night before March the 2nd?
At Carlisha's.
Okay, and do you remember where you were at the night before that?
Carlisha's.
Okay. Can you tell us how many nights in a row you'd been at Carlisha's, if you know?
I'm not sure. Probably, if I go to the apartment, it'd probably be twice out of the week, so it's been a couple times.
Do you remember what day of the week March the 2nd was on?
A Wednesday.
Do you remember that week?
Yes, sir.
Now, that was the last week before spring break.
Yes, sir, it was.
And what were you planning on doing for spring break?
Going home.
And how were you going to get there?
My dad was coming to get me that Friday.
Okay, on Friday the 4th?
Yes, sir.
there was, the registrar introduced an exhibit yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, regarding your class schedule showing you had 18 hours. Would that be true?
Yes, sir.
And the classes that she went over, were those the classes that you were taking?
Yes, sir.
Were you excited to go home for spring break?
Yes, sir.
And Miss Reese testified she had asked you about getting a ride with you. Is that true?
Yes, sir, she did.
And had you asked your daddy about that?
Yes, sir, I had.
And do you know if she was going to be allowed to ride home with you?
Yes, sir, he was fine with it.
Now, tell me how that day started.
It started off like a normal day. I get up, get ready for class, attend class, eat, go to the library, and go back to the apartment, or to the dorm of Carlicia's.
Okay. And at some point on this day, did you and Miss Reese come into contact?
Yes, sir, we did.
And where was that at?
I was leaving class, going back to the dorm of Carlicia's, and I met up with Renee.
All right. And what did y'all two decide to go do?
We first decided to go get something to eat, and then we brought up the marijuana
Okay. And where'd y'all get the marijuana?
on campus.
All right. And did y'all go together?
Yes, sir, we did.
And what'd y'all do after you got the marijuana?
We were heading back to my apartment, but first we stopped at the store to pick up the cigarillos as well as the Black and Miles.
Okay. As well as what?
The Black and Miles.
Okay. Was there any other reason you were going back to your apartment?
I was getting ready for spring break.
Okay. And do you remember what time you got to your apartment?
Probably 5:30.
Okay. And do you remember anything that you did while you were at your apartment?
As soon as I got into the apartment, I started up washing my clothes.
Okay.
Then me and Renee smoked the marijuana.
All right. And who rolled it?
I did.
Okay. And where'd y'all smoke it at?
In my bedroom.
All right. And did you know anybody else was there?
No, sir, I did not at the time.
All right. What's the next thing you remember?
The knock at the door.
Okay. And tell me about that.
Renee was in the kitchen getting something to eat and something to drink, and she told me she heard a knock at the door. And so I came out of my room to answer the door, and it was the police officer.
All right. And did he ask to search your room?
Yes, sir, he did.
Did you tell him that he could search your room?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did he search it?
Yes, sir, he did.
Did he find a small amount of marijuana?
Yes, sir, he did.
I think it was testified a marijuana roach.
Yes, sir.
And tell us what you all were told to do with the marijuana.
He told us to flush the marijuana down the toilet and throw the trash out in the garbage can.
Okay. And so who did what?
Renee flushed the marijuana and I threw the trash out.
Okay. And while the officer was there, did you talk with him at the front door?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did you ever notice Miss Stewart at that point?
Yes, sir.
And tell us where you saw Miss Stewart at.
She was standing by the living room, in between the living room and the kitchen.
Okay. And did she do anything in particular?
She just looked at me and smirked.
She did what?
She looked at me and smirked,
What's smirk?
like she was happy that he was there.
Okay. And would that have been before or after he searched your room?
Before he searched the room.
Now, I think you'd said that, or let me just ask you, you said that the officer told you, you're the one that took out the trash, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And did the officer go with you?
Yes, sir, he did.
Okay. And at some point, did you return to the apartment?
Yes, sir, I did.
And would that have been right behind throwing the trash away?
Yes, sir.
And did the officer return with you?
No, sir, he did.
And when you returned, tell me what happened.
As I returned, my first instinct was to get Renee and leave, but I didn't want to leave the situation like that, so I wanted to talk to Tina.
What do you mean you didn't want to leave the situation like that?
I didn't want to have any more problems with her feeling that she couldn't trust me or didn't like me, so I wanted to talk to her about it.
Okay. And so what'd you do?
I knocked on Tina's door.
All right. And who opened the door?
Tina opened the door as soon as I knocked on it.
Okay. And when she opened the door, what was y'all's positioning at that point?
We were face to face where I was standing in the doorway.
Okay. And she was standing right in your face when she first opened the door?
Yes, sir, she was.
Okay. And did y'all have a conversation?
Yes, sir, we did.
And tell me about that.
I asked Tina why did she call the police officer on me instead of talking to me like she was, because we came to agreement the last time that the office was called on her that we would talk about our issues instead of reacting first. And she brought back up the time that the office was called on her.
Okay. And what happened next?
The conversation did get very heated, but I see it wasn't going anywhere. So Tina kept telling me to leave, so I was turning to leave. And as I was turning to leave, Tina pushed me. And I turned back around and I pushed her back.
Now, in the statement, it says something about bumping.
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us about that.
The only reason I put bumping in the statement because when I was pushed, Tina kept saying don't bump into me. But I played it over, I thought about it, and I just don't remember bumping her at all.
Okay. Have you ever been in a fight before?
No, sir.
Ever?
No, sir.
Ever been in any trouble before?
No, sir.
So when she pushed you, you turned back around?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what did you intend to do when you turned back around?
It was just a reaction. I was shocked that she pushed me, but at the same time, I was like, where did he go? How did he get there?
Okay. And what happened next?
When I turned around and the push happened, we started fighting.
Okay, and tell us about that.
When during the fight, I was yelling for Tina to stop, to let me go, and she just wouldn't do it. I was begging, she acted like she didn't hear me, and I was scared. I was scared that she was gonna hurt me. She kept hitting my head, and it was paining. I was hurting, and she wouldn't listen to me,
Now,
and I was just scared.
you said that you had a mark on one of your eyes, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And I think you told the detective that your eye had been hurting you.
It
Was the mark on your eye prior to this fight?
had, no, sir, it happened during the fight.
When you say your eye had been hurting you, do you know what the problem was?
When I was like 10th or 11th grade, I had the eye doctor told me that I had some kind of complication with my eye that caused the pressure of it to hurt. And he said that if I hadn't wore glasses, it would be worse and I might have to get eye surgery.
Okay. And so, have you worn glasses since 10th or 11th grade?
Yes, sir.
Did you have your glasses as of March the 2nd?
No, sir, I hadn't.
Okay. Where were they?
They had broken probably November.
Okay. And had you and your mama communicated about that?
Yes, sir. I was going home that spring break to get some more.
All right. And did you have an appointment with an eye doctor, or do you know?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Now, tell us about the fight.
I was just scared in the fight. I wasn't expecting it to happen. I just wanted to talk, and it just escalated. And I was scared, and she wouldn't let me go. I kept pleading with her. She wouldn't stop.
Okay, and when you say she wouldn't let you go, what do you mean?
And she was slinging me around the room. She was pulling my hair. She was beating me on the top of the head. And she wasn't listening to my plea.
Okay. Did your bra end up getting ripped in this process?
Yes, sir, it did.
Now, we've seen the pictures of the bra. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And we've actually seen the bra.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? And was that bra ripped or separated at the seams prior to March the 2nd?
Yes, sir.
How do you know that?
If my bra was loose or had felt any wrong, I would have felt it.
Okay. Now, at some point, did you realize that your bra was loose or torn or whatever you just said?
I felt it loose while I was being processed.
Okay. And are you sure your bra was not in that condition prior to that day?
I'm sure.
Now, during the course of this fight, did you believe you had a right to knock on Tina's door?
I thought I did. I didn't think it was wrong.
Did you believe you had a right to stand there and talk to her?
Yes, sir.
And with respect to during the fight, were you in fear?
Yes, sir, I was.
Why?
I thought I was going to get hurt.
Why?
She just wouldn't listen to me. She wasn't listening to me. She just wasn't, she acted like I wasn't there. She wanted to hurt me, and I was scared.
When did you see a knife?
It was during the fight.
Okay. And where was the knife at?
It was sitting on the bed.
Okay. And do you know when you got a hold of the knife?
Somewhere in between the time she was slinging me around the room and I was begging for her to stop.
And why is it that you picked up a knife?
I wanted to defend myself. She wasn't listening to me.
Did you believe the knife was necessary to protect yourself?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you try to leave?
Yes, sir, but she wasn't listening to me. She didn't let me go.
Did you communicate your desire to leave to Miss Stewart?
Yes, sir.
Were you in fear?
Yes, sir.
Of what?
That I was going to get hurt, and it was going to be a major injury.
Were you in extreme pain?
Yes, sir.
And on your eye, did you say it's pressure? What would you say the problem is there, or what's the effects of the problem?
It's something in my eye that causes pressure. It makes it pain when it's hurting.
Okay, and when you say pain, what do you mean?
It's like something is pulling at your eyeball, trying to take it out.
Did you believe the danger you perceived to be immediate?
Yes, sir.
Were you attempting to protect yourself?
Yes, sir, I was.
Were you really in a fight?
Yes, sir.
Did you honestly believe it to be real?
Yes, sir.
At the very beginning of that, when you knocked on the door, was there hostility between you two?
It was a little bit.
Okay. Did you kick her door in?
No, sir, I didn't.
What was going through your mind while she was hitting you?
I was in fear for my life. I thought I was going to get hurt. I was just scared.
Now, we saw some pictures yesterday, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you can't see a whole lot on those pictures.
No, sir.
And there was even the police came and took more pictures at the jail on the next day, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And what was it that you were pointing out to them on March the 3rd?
I was hurting. I was sore. It was pain in my arms, my leg, my face, everywhere.
Okay. What about, and then I think again, almost a week later, or maybe the 8th?
Yes, sir.
Did,
The same thing. I was still sore. I was paining.
okay, and even on the top of your head?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you look at those pictures, can you tell anything more than what we saw in the other pictures that was introduced?
No, sir.
After you stabbed Miss Stewart, you're not denying you stabbed Miss Stewart, is that right?
No, sir, I'm not.
After you stabbed Miss Stewart, what did you do?
I wanted to kill myself
Okay, and why's that?
because I hurt her and I wasn't trying to do it. And I'm sorry, I hurt her. I wasn't trying to do it.
Once you stabbed Miss Stewart, what happened?
After I stabbed her, she fell to the ground.
Okay. And did you notice anything in particular about the knife?
It was bent.
Okay. And do you know how the knife got bent?
No, sir.
How many times did you stab Miss Stewart?
I just remember stabbing her once.
She
But
had-
she had other wounds and cuts, and I just don't remember it, but it only could have been me.
Now, you say the knife was bent.
Yes, sir.
Do you know how it got bent?
No, sir.
Had you ever, prior to this day, seen a knife with a broken handle?
No, sir.
Had you ever seen a bent knife before this day?
No, sir.
And when you say you wanted to kill yourself, is there a connection between the bent knife and you wanting to kill yourself?
I tried to unbend it
Okay. And why?
because I wanted to die.
Did you try to unbend it?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what happened?
It wouldn't have been. No matter how hard I tried, it wouldn't have been.
How did the knife get in two pieces?
I'm not sure.
Do you know if it was when you were unbending it?
No, sir, I'm not sure.
What did you do after that?
I should have helped her, but my mind was everywhere, and I'm sorry I didn't help her. I'm just sorry. I could have saved her. I'm sorry.
Well, what did you do?
I grabbed the blanket off the floor, and I came out the room, and I met up with Renee coming out of mine. And I went to the kitchen, and I just started grabbing things. I grabbed the garbage bag, I grabbed the knives that I could, and I just threw them in the garbage after Renee left.
Why?
I was scared. I didn't know what to do. She left me alone. I didn't have anyone to help me to understand.
Now, at some point, we've seen pictures of Miss Stewart's phone, and we've seen text messages from Miss Stewart's phone.
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us who did those texts?
It could only be me, but I just don't remember it.
Did you heard Miss Reese testify about you coming up to her outside?
Yes, sir.
And you told the detective about spending a lot of time outside walking around. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Did you throw the knives in the dumpster?
It was me. I had to been did it. I was the only one there.
When did that occur to you, or would it be true, when did that occur to you that the knives were in the dumpster? And the reason I ask you that is the officer asked you over and over and over in the interview where the knives are.
Yes, sir.
Tell this jury how you came to know or what happened. Did you know all along, just lying to him?
No, sir. I didn't know all along. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember. And he kept bringing it up, and it started clicking every time he bring it up.
Okay. Did you provoke Miss Stewart to fight you?
No, sir, I didn't.
Are you aware if she had any cuts on her?
It was the stabbings and all the wounds.
Okay. From your fist, though?
No, sir.
Renee's gone. What's going on in your head?
How did it escalate to this? How did it happen like that? I just couldn't wrap my mind around it.
We've heard a lot of people talk about you being calm or appearing to be calm.
Yes, sir.
Can you help us understand that?
I just wasn't myself. I just didn't want to believe that it happened like that, that I hurt her. And I'm sorry I hurt her. I'm sorry I didn't help her. I just wasn't myself. If I could do that over again, I would help her. I would. But I just wasn't myself.
Did you call your mama?
I did.
And did you tell your mama that you had stabbed Miss Stewart?
No.
Why?
I just didn't want to believe it myself, so I didn't bring it up.
Why did you call Carlicia and ask for a ride? Or did you call Carlicia and ask for a ride?
I called Carlicia, but I didn't want to tell her about the fight, about the stabbing, so I told her to come and give me a ride. But I wasn't going anywhere. I just needed somebody there.
Were you trying to make a getaway, as the district attorney alluded to last night?
No, sir.
Now, at some point, you come into contact with Mr. Anuna. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And this is I don't have the timeline in front of me, 30, 45, 50 minutes after the stabbing had occurred. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And were you still in the apartment at that time?
Yes, sir.
And you heard what he said about he came in and did he just walk right in?
Yes, sir, he did.
And that you told him Miss Stewart wasn't there?
Yes, sir.
Why?
I don't know.
Were you wanting her to die?
No, sir. If I had told him she was there, he could have helped her. And I'm sorry I didn't tell him. I'm so sorry I didn't tell him.
Did you wash your hands?
No, sir.
Did you change your clothes?
No, sir.
Well, you ever been to a police department before?
No, sir.
You ever go on a school trip?
No, sir.
Ever been to get a friend or family member out of jail?
No, sir.
Were you truthful with the officer during the interview?
No, sir, I wasn't.
Why?
I'm not sure. I lied to him. I wish I would have told him the truth. And it would have been so much easier.
What were you feeling?
I was nervous. I was scared. I didn't know what to do.
Hey, are you telling these folks the truth today?
Yes, sir.
Those are my questions. All right?
Mr. Washington. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, let's sit down for about 10 minutes. Everybody rise, please. I'll bring you back in 10 minutes. Thank you.
The Shanterrica Madden murder trial.